Welcome on in, brothers and sisters of the chapter. This is Sprues and Studs, your lovely chapter master. And not too long ago, we actually went through a very traumatizing time. And that traumatizing time was basically unboxing a White Scars Intercessor Space Marine. And we found out that Space Marine was completely shattered beyond repair, which was a very, very sad situation for basically all of us, especially me. So for those of you who are just tuning in, what happened was I basically did one of my regular unboxing and reviewing of the Space Marines, and when I pulled out the White Scar Space Marine that I'm talking about right now out of the box, it was completely shattered at the hip, which meant that the hip joint was completely disassembled from the leg and the rest of the Space Marine, which is unfortunate because, well, the Space Marine was in complete pieces. So I will let you know that probably the easiest thing to do is to contact your distributor and actually to find a replacement. That's exactly what I did in this instance. I contacted the distributor, which I got the Space Marine from, and got, lo and behold, look at this, it's shiny, which means it has its plastics on still, a replacement. And to basically demonstrate that, I have the original box over here, as you can see, that does not have the shiny plastic. So these distributors, I think they know that sometimes JoyToy has some issues with their quality insurance, so they're willing to replace it if they are a good distributor at no cost whatsoever. There are also some distributors that I know that will actually give you that replacement part for free if you order some other stuff along with it. That may be the quote-unquote easiest way out. Now, the second way that you could possibly do it is to browse the internet, and in this instance, what I would be searching for to replace this poor Space Marine's hip is to look for a T or Y-shaped ball joint. And there are plenty of options out there, but you know what? That's not actually the purpose of this video. I wanted something that you could kind of like create yourself to fix. So you know what? What I thought of doing was basically this. I'm not looking for restoring 100% functionality per se in my Space Marine. I just want my Space Marine to be able to look like a whole Space Marine, and you be able to kind of like pose a very static T position on it. Join me on this little adventure as we try to repair the poor White Scar. So obviously here we have our poor shattered Space Marine. Now typically hip replacements have very, very low outcomes for us normal human beings. However, this is not a normal human being. This is the Emperor's finest. This is a Space Marine. So we will attempt this hip replacement over here. So the first thing obviously that we need to do is to get the shattered hip out of the joints. What tool is better to do that than your regular pair of pliers? So we're going to now carefully pluck out the shattered remains here. And obviously if you need to expand the joints, you can always dunk this into hot water. This will help the process of trying to get this thing out. Well, the easiest one to get out is this. So we're gonna yank this out, very easy. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure if a pair of pliers is gonna actually do it. So I'm gonna actually use a drill. So hang on a second while I get that drill. This broken ball joint is actually out. So what the hell did I end up doing? Well, pretty much what I ended up doing was, obviously, as I said before, drill this thing to oblivion and then just use force to kind of like pry this out. So we finally have this joint completely free. And now we will progress on to trying to get this ball out of this joint using the same method. So obviously the deeper that you drill this thing, the more hold that this thing is going to help you try to get this ball joint out. So that's exactly what I did. So let's just see if we can get this out right now. And the bit has broken, unfortunately, as I predicted that was going to happen. But maybe it's gripped so much enough that I can just pull this out with a pair of pliers. Rest in peace, drill bit. Maybe I'll use this to fix another Space Marine arm. There we go. Hey, at least it sacrificed itself in some great way. So there you go. An inadvertent fix, and also a very inadvertent break. All right, so obviously we need to find a replacement for that hip joint. So what place better to look than actually another Space Marine, so we can find what a healthy hip joint is. So I ripped open one of my incursors to actually take a look at what the hip joint specifically looks like, and obviously is a T-shaped barbell thing. I mean, obviously I could have just graphed this thing in, but that's not the purpose of this video, right? We want to try to figure out what kind of fixes that we can use with the things that we have around the house. All right, so after looking around the house, I was looking for something that I could possibly use to just substitute for this piece over here. And lo and behold, I actually thought of something. Why don't I use something that is in literally the name of this channel, which is Sprues and Studs? So that's exactly what I ended up doing. I took a Blood Angel sprue, and what I ended up doing, and this is what I literally ended up doing, was basically take the sprue, cut out a T-piece over here. What I'm ending up gonna do is basically gonna substitute this stuff in here. Hopefully it will fit. And it should, because I'm just going to basically sand the stuff down. Now, I understand that this action figure is not going to have full functionality. The whole point of this project for me, in all honesty, is to basically get this Space Marine so that he can stand up straight. And I don't really need to pose him, because I actually don't pose my Space Marines too much. Or actually, I don't change the pose at all, to be honest. So I just want this guy to be freestanding. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So right now, as it stands, it actually does not fit the sprue. So I'm going to have to sand this area down so it can actually fit. So I'm going to sand this thing down, make it a little bit smoother so it can actually fit. Thankfully, these sprues are very, very malleable, and you can sand this down very, very quickly. You want to go as slow as possible because you want to have a relatively snug fit once you fit this thing in. Looks like the fit is pretty snug over here. And the fit is also fairly snug over here as well. So what the heck do we have here? Well, I may actually have to sacrifice this Lego piece. I was like, you know what? Why not actually incorporate more of this channel's name, which is the studs part, into this video? So it's very appropriate because I already got the sprue part and I already got the studs part right here in my left hand. So pretty much what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to have to actually sand this part down so it can fit this barrel, and I have to make sure that the top of this thing will actually fit here, and that is my ultimate goal, so it can actually fit. Let's go ahead and do more sanding. All right, looks like the top of it can fit, but we still have a little bits to go. It's a little bit of a stretch, but you know what? We've got something very, very similar to this. So as I said, this part, as you can see over here, doesn't fit too well in this area. So what I'm gonna have to end up doing is also sanding this part down. All right, just to give you an update, this is the state of affairs right now. I'm still trying to remove plastic from this, and I'm using a combination of my trusty mold line remover that I use for my miniatures, and then also a combination of an X-Acto knife to basically carve this out. So this is actually taking longer than I really wanted it to, but you know what? I believe this is going to be well worth the effort. So, going back to work. Well, folks, I guess we in life have to celebrate our successes and get up from our failures. And I'll have to admit that this sprue and stud method is not going to work, mainly because I have been chipping away and carving at this, and this doesn't actually form that much of a solid seal or a solid move or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to have to resort to something that us miniature hobbyists use to fill in gaps, as well as almost create different sculpts. And what am I referring to? You miniature people already know what I'm talking about. This, my friends, is called green stuff. Once you combine the blue side and the green side together, it forms this semi malleable putty kind of thing. And as you allow it to dry over time, it becomes pretty much solid. Once it's become solid, you can actually sand it down to the size that you want. What I'm thinking of doing is taking this, rolling into a ball. Obviously, I'm going to make it bigger than this part over here, and then put the ball on top of this and fit this in here. So we're gonna take this thing, rip it off, and then pretty much combine it together. Gradually working this in. Form that nubbin up there. All right, see, we have a makeshift ball joint now. So we're gonna have to wait 24 hours for this thing to actually cure, and then we will sand this down to gradually make this thing fit. All right, roughly 24 hours has passed and this thing is completely cured. It is rock solid and ready for some sanding. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Let's let the sanding begin. Okay, for all intents and purposes, I think we have a pretty good fit over here. And it seems like it locks in decently well after all the sanding and stuff. And I think we're done. We just need to put the Space Marine together. That's pretty easily done. Pop this on first. Oh yeah, looks like it's gonna work, people. Come on, I have hope. Oh my God. Your content creator is a mad lad. And the moment of truth. Dude, look at that. Well, it doesn't sit completely on. I could probably sand this down a little bit more, which I probably will, and it looks complete. If I didn't tell you there was something wrong with it, you wouldn't be able to tell. Look at this thing. Hey, not bad. Not bad at all. And there you go, folks. We have done it. The primary objective has been achieved, where we can actually put the Space Marine together and have him basically pose in a static form. My goal, again, never was really to actually have the full fluidity of the action figure back again. But this is going to be a fantastic fix, I think, that I would recommend to people if you don't care about having that full functionality. So let me wrap this up.
Aha! So, brothers and sisters of the chapter, we have one that is completely repaired. Well, actually, quote unquote, completely repaired. And we have another fresh one from the factory. Can you actually guess which one was actually fresh from the factory and which has been semi-repaired by me? I'll give you a little second to think about it. But guess what? This guy is fresh from the factory, and this guy was repaired by me. Can you tell the difference? I'll be honest with you, I probably can't tell the difference at all, just from cursory glance like this. So I'd have to say, in all honesty, I think I got the exact result that I wanted. So anyways, leave a comment in the comment section to let me know what you actually thought of this video. So thank you so much for watching. I am truly appreciative to every one of you's dedication to the channel and watching what I have put out. And again, thank you, and I'll see you all in the next one.